everyone, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Karen, this is my husband Brian, and today's video is all about 10 different things that we've changed since we have retired. One of the first things we did after we both retired, and probably my favorite thing we've done so far in terms of projects in the house, is we turned our dining room into Brian's home office. We had, I'll pop in a screenshot here. We had a 30-year-old dining room table, 2 leaves, a really large hutch, and I had a tough time trying to figure out what to do with it. In addition to that, I had my grandma's china that I also wasn't able to find a home for. So I went out online and asked people that were in some of my reselling groups, and someone asked me if we had any sort of charity shop in town, some sort of nonprofit, and I realized we do, and we have a really good one, and it's called Hope Chest for Breast Cancer. All of the proceeds go to women that are fighting the disease. The great thing about that organization, in addition to that, is that they came to our home and found out later, because we visited the shop, that everything had sold. So I'm going to let Brian tell you more about how we redesigned his office with things that were literally found on the side of the road.
This is a piece of IKEA furniture that we got from Grandma. This is a desk that we found on the road when we were walking our grand dog. We picked this up, brought it home, cleaned it up, took this from Grandma and painted them both in a grayish green color, which was, I believe, the Sherwin-Williams paint color of the month. And we both liked it, thought it matched well in here. My favorite part of the home office was this mirror was a bright gold, which I don't know when it was in style, but it does a nice job of brightening up the room, a little bit of ornate inlay. But someone recommended that you can bring the paint to a Sherwin-Williams store and they will put it in an aerosol can for you for about $12 or $13. So I did that. It worked great. I taped off the glass on the mirror, spray painted all the little nooks and crannies. Very pleased with it. So if you have a fair amount of leftover paint, it only takes about 2 or 3 ounces. I had about 2 gallons. And that was my favorite part of the redo of our office.
And the other half over here are just items that we had in our house. We need to put some artwork up here. But this chair came from our basement. We have kind of a Northwoods theme, kind of a cabin theme in the basement. The pillow is a wool needlepoint pillow that I got at the Goodwill outlet. And then that new print is all of the characters, all of the symbols of Minnesota that a friend of ours was not needing in their office anymore. So I think it turned out really nice for Brian. He uses it, and it's so much better than having a dining room that we use maybe
twice a year.
Once or twice a year. My favorite thing we've done so far. Another thing that we have found time for since we have retired is our yard. And one fun thing that we discovered together was our community's free plant swap. And the gardener in the family is him. So I'm going to let him take it over and tell you more about what his garden's all about.
Hosta are prolific, very hard to kill, and people like giving them away. So as opposed to buying them at a garden store or a landscaping outlet, we have a community plant swap the first Monday after Memorial Day in May and the first Monday after Labor Day in September, where you can trade it with other landscape aficionados, which is a great win-win for everybody. You can get rid of things that you have too many of or have become overgrown and you can get some new varieties. This is my patch, and it's raspberries. They started 5 years ago as 5 sticks. Now they are teeming with raspberries, which I should probably harvest today because it looks like they're ripe. If you'll follow me along our pathway here, I believe these are fieldstone that we, thank goodness, didn't have to pay for, because at a garden store they're rather expensive individually. A lot of people that redo their landscaping have to dispose of their old landscaping for free a lot of times if you will just go and pick it up, which is how we acquired all of this pathway. We decided to turn our sport court into a modified pickleball court, which on the paver stones, occasionally they take some interesting bounces, but it's good exercise and we don't have to fight anyone to get on a court.
So that's my contribution to the backyard, is the 2 Rieger begonia plants.
They're looking a little experienced today. We just had a torrential downpour. Now you can see a little better the backyard baseball diamond that I mow in every year. Hasn't been used very often. Occasionally I'll give a lesson in the backyard and I'll put up a batting net behind home plate. But another thing we have done since retiring is done a few repeated closet purges. We've gone through our closets and we take out what we have not worn in a year, and that immediately either goes to the donate pile or the resale pile on Poshmark or eBay. I went to a local charity, and after being in the corporate world for 37 years, I donated over 40 suits and sport coats.
If I haven't worn it in a year, I've gotten rid of so many things, and I think it's a stress reducer. That's one thing that's really changed since we've both been working from home, is our wardrobe has gone down considerably, and the things that both he and I choose to wear are things that we really do like to wear. Another thing that we found that we have so much more time for is shopping, even secondhand now, for our home. That's been a big change for both of us. And because I'm in thrift stores and go to rummage sales and garage sales so often, I have found some really amazing things for around the house. I'd never shopped secondhand for our home before we had a chance to do this in retirement. And so one of my most favorite secondhand finds for our home, I ended up finding on Facebook Marketplace. And we both of us resell on Facebook Marketplace. But that particular day, I had sold a tabletop poker tabletop pad that our kids used to use and play poker every once in a while, and they hadn't used it for a long time. So I had put it up on Facebook for I think $75. Someone offered me $50, and I took it, and they came to our home that morning. And that very same day, I had found a king-size bed frame. They were asking
and headboard.
Rails, headboard, footboard, king size. And we both agreed we kind of like that mission style look. And they were asking $100. I'm going to put a couple of screenshots up so that you can see what it is we found. They were asking $100, and because that very same day someone asked for $25 off, I thought, why not? And so I offered $75, and they accepted, and we told them we could go out that very day. So I took that $50 cash in my hand, and in my mind, I then decided that I only had to pay $25 for this new headboard.
Don't question her math,
I'm not good at math. But I decided $25. So we made our way to this home and drove up to this very tiny little home, and 2 petite, kind of fit women came out of their house, introduced ourselves, told them, thanks for letting us come over today. And one of the women explained that her husband will be right there. He's coming with their moving truck. And I'll let Brian tell you about the rest.
I remarked to the young woman who was helping us, I said, it was obviously her husband, and I said, your husband play football in high school and college? And she goes, he's still playing football. And she very proudly announced that he is a member of the Minnesota Vikings. And
so we were very excited. So now it was, in my mind, it was $25. And it's from a Minnesota Vikings player. Now that we're retired, we have more time to do little fun adventures. And that truly was one of my most favorite purchases and most favorite stories that we have for our home.
Go Vikings.
Is we're both going to try and find something new to do. And for me, it's this YouTube channel. And yes, I've thought of every reason that you have for not starting a channel. What if I don't look good? What if nobody watches? What if I don't get any likes? What if someone says something mean? What will my friends think? What will my boys say? And you know what? At this point, I don't care. I want to continue to keep learning. I chose to do YouTube for a couple of reasons. One, to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I feel like initially it was something that I could do on my own time. It worked in perfectly. It wasn't a job. It was something that I could do when Brian and I had time to film these things or go to these sales or do what we do together. But it fit in perfectly with being so flexible. So yes, I thought of all those reasons why I shouldn't do it. But I just think at our age, I have something to say. I think that we all in our own unique way have value. We're all doing something different. We all have something to share. And it's okay if nobody watches. It's okay if nobody likes. I've so far heard really positive comments. Posted a couple of beginning videos on my Facebook page and got a lot of response out of that. And really the reason I want to do this, and I wanted Brian and I to do this together, is to leave a legacy. I've always been the one behind the camera. I've always been the one filming. And I think there's going to come a time where our children, our boys, and our grandchildren may like the fact that they can see us both talking, they can see us visually, see us. And for no other reason, if you're on the fence about starting a YouTube channel, I think doing it for the reason of just a legacy about he and I think that's one of the best reasons that I could have come up with. And he's a pretty good sport. I've taken him on a lot of these different adventures, doing a lot of these different things, and he's game. So another thing that we have found time to do and that I'm making a priority physically is stretching. I have found and discovered a woman, Fabulous and 50 or 50 and Fabulous. I'll leave a link below to her YouTube channel. But just the simple act, and now I have time, the simple act of just at night getting down on the floor in front of the TV, maybe before I turn the TV on for the night, but getting down, stretching, and I've even got him doing it, has done it a couple times.
I usually try and do my stretching on the golf course or out in the yard.
I find her just so relaxing to listen to. I think it's really good for me to do. I finally am dedicated and found the time to do it. Like I said, I'll leave a link to her channel. You might enjoy her as well. The other person that I found when I was researching women my age and women who do YouTube channels is a woman who, again, I'm not quite sure. I'll leave a link below for her, but add Vantures over 50 with the word van in the middle. She is a woman who took off on her own, sold all of her belongings. She's over 50. She got on the road and started to just kind of create a life on the road. And the more, I don't know why she popped up. I'm not interested in van life, but
I am.
I don't see me doing that. But somehow
I'll pick her up at the airport is what she tells me.
I got hooked on her channel. Come to find out, she's also from Minnesota like we are. She is in the process of helping her mom move into assisted living like we did. I think you might also enjoy her. She's just a delight and has a wealth of information and is just really, if she can get in her van and go across the country, I can get in my car and go do something maybe I'm not looking to do. So those are two channels I wanted to tell you about that I'm going to link below for you.
Another thing we've started doing in the last several months is
paying a little more attention to what we eat and drink. And probably the major one, Karen drinks a lot of water. I'm more of a lemonade guy. And our sons are quite into fitness, and they said, you guys should get into an electrolyte replacement drink. So we live close by an Aldi, and you can get a 10-pack at Aldi for about $2.50. We put it into a glass water bottle that we bring with us on walks. We stay hydrated, and believe it or not, I feel better whenever I go out to mow the lawn or work in the yard in warmer weather, and I've found that I feel a lot better.
Me too. Yeah, there's something in it. I try and drink mine early in the morning. There's something about it. So if you're not taking electrolytes, we're not doctors. We're not. I don't.
And we're not health nuts.
I don't know about the Aldi brand, but
like ice cream.
But for us, the Aldi
red meat,
the Aldi brand works, and it really does. I really have to say as well that I do feel better. Just one a day, I do feel better when we're both drinking electrolytes. The next thing that I have been able to find time to do since we are now retired, I've been asked several times. The answer has always been no, but I just recently decided to take on consignment clients for eBay. Several reasons why I haven't. Brian is part of that.
The reason why we have not is, say we sell an item for $100 for a friend, and the friend expects $100. Well, we have our fixed costs of shipping, going to the post office, packaging materials, and on top of all of that, which is how I usually stop the conversation, is, well, we get none of the proceeds, but we're on the hook for $100 of phantom income that we have to report to the government. So I always tell Karen, no, you
we
can't
don't like
do
paying
it.
our own taxes. We really don't want to pay other
We'll
people's
pay our fair share of taxes,
well.
but we don't really need to pay anyone else's fair share of taxes.
Well, I've asked in groups that I'm part of, reselling groups, and they say don't do it. It's the easiest way to lose a friend. I recently decided I'm going to give it a try. The friend and I had a great conversation. I was just very open and honest about it. I thought, well, it's going to broaden my understanding of new inventory. The thing that she had that was so interesting is that she inherited from her family artifacts, statues, figurines, paintings, masks from Alaska. And she'd asked a year before, she had tried every which way to sell these things. And she came back to me again and said, would you be willing? So we decided on a 65-35 split. I have explained all of the ins and outs of eBay, the best offer and running the sales. What she did that was different than anybody else is that she decided and agreed to do all of the legwork herself. I explained how to look for solds, I explained how to look at sell-through rate. I shared with her the ins and outs of eBay, and she came over to our home with a spreadsheet and had done a ton of research.
Took a lot of work off of her plate.
So it took it off of me, and she was willing to do that part. I would say the 65-35, I ended up selling one of her items the same day. It has been a lot of interest in the last few days. But if the person that wants you to do it isn't willing to do the work, I would say a minimum 50-50 split of the profit. And if they are, I think that's worth it. I think 65-35, we hemmed and hawed. We didn't want to insult each other, but just keep those lines of communication open. Explain that you don't want to lose them as a friend. Explain if it breaks, what happens. And the money was important to her, but she just didn't want to donate it to the Goodwill. And I sympathized with her on that. I didn't want to do that with some of my things from my mom as well. So I've been able now, since I'm retired, to take on consignment clients. We'll see how it goes, but so far so good. I think it's been a good experience over the last couple of weeks for both of us.
A really fun aspect of technology is my son got a new watch from his wife, an Apple Watch, and he gave me his hand-me-down because I love wearing a watch. And I didn't believe how many things this watch could do. As you elderly folks know, that you can update your weather, and you know how important that is to have up-to-the-minute weather information. Also, I will get notified when I have a text or email come in. I follow the Minnesota Twins on my watch, so I get updates from them. So I am really pleased that I've discovered in retirement an Apple Watch, and Santa might get one for someone sitting close to me.
This next one is really pretty obvious, and it's almost as though all retirees do this, but it's travel. And we used to travel more when our kids were little. We had reasons to take them to all the Disney Worlds and all of that. Then as they grew up, we tended to do more traveling. They played some college sports. We would travel to watch them. And over the last few years, it's just not something we've made a priority. Caring for my mom, COVID, it just is something that's really taken a back seat. And a very wise friend told me that if you don't choose to travel in your 60s, when you're, not for everybody, but if you're feeling up to it in your 60s, is the time to do it, because when you reach 70, you may not be able to do it. And I've really taken that to heart. Since in the last couple of years, we made my first trip to Canada, even though I live in Minnesota. I made my first trip to Canada as a family. We were able to go last spring to Cape Cod and Nantucket, the two of us. We did a graduation, had a family friend's son graduate from Yale University. We did Newport, Rhode Island. And I think Brian would agree, we don't have that real wanderlust that a lot of, I'm going to take that European vacation. I don't really yearn for that, but there's so many places in the United States that there's still left for both of us to see. So I'm really trying now to make the change for us that while we're both still in our 60s, some of us might get to 70 a little quicker. But
I hope so.
While we're both still in our 60s, not that I wouldn't do it in our 70s, but I take her advice to heart. And if not now, when? So something that we have changed since we've retired is making travel more of a priority.